They knew in the experience that they weren't going to deliver that successful outcome. So what they needed to do was improve the experience in the experience. And it's actually from Steve Towers, right? And who some may say is the godfather of customer success. If there's one piece of advice that you'd give to a new wrestler that is trying to wrestle with the customer success style, what advice? I don't know if that worked, but what advice would you give to them?
Oh man, well, if my style is customer success style, then apparently it has a lot to do with kicking people in the face. So you want to make sure you get your kicking foot real warmed up. Look, I mean, the thing that I say the most is, or probably say this the most, is we have to know what success looks like for the customer, or we have to know what their outcome is, or whatever we call it. We need to know why a customer is doing business with us, what they intend to get out of that relationship, so that we can figure out how to provide that to them. So whether you call that desired outcome, which is what I call it, which is basically their required outcome, the reason that they're doing this, plus their appropriate experience, which is how they need to achieve this, or it's some other thing that you go with. Basically, if we don't know what a customer is trying to achieve, what experience are we creating for them? What success are we managing? And I can't tell you how many times I have that conversation with either a new client or, maybe people in the workshop or just whatever. I'm just talking to people. I'm like, well, what does success look like for your customer? I don't really know.
Yeah.
Then what are you doing? So that's number one thing is, and so, if you are a new CX professional, you're new into customer success or new into customer experience, or you just, frankly, you're gonna be doing anything that has any impact on the customer, you should probably figure out what that means. Now, it doesn't mean that the company as a whole doesn't know what success is. We really do know a lot more about our customers than we think. And very often what I find is that people are just unwilling. So going back to one thing you said earlier about sort of staying in the middle, trying to be all things to everybody, trying not to upset anything or whatever. We know what our customers need, but we don't want to land on that and start alienating anybody who that doesn't really fit with. When in fact, if we did that, if we really understood what success was for, certain types of customer segments, and we could really operationalize around that, we could make the product, tailored more towards delivering that success for those particular customers. Even if we ended up turning some people away, those customers that we do have would be so much more successful. Again, they would stay longer, buy more, and advocate for us. Instead, what we might have is, maybe we don't have a churn problem. Maybe we don't have customers that are leaving, but we have customers that are not growing their investment with us. And to me, that's actually, I don't want to say it's as bad as having a lot of churn. Clearly, if we're churning and burning customers, that's not good. But the next thing is, if you just have customers that are sort of staying flat, not increasing their investment with you, that's actually really bad. That's not something you should be proud of. That should just be like table stakes. That should just be, okay, cool. So you can keep customers. Awesome. Now, where do we go from here? Well, we should be growing them. We should be growing. So here's the thing that I always am just like blown away by this. When we sell, when our salespeople go out, or when our marketing people create campaigns or whatever, what are we selling? Most of the time we're selling a better version of themselves, right? We've all seen that image of like Mario, and then he, I don't know, eats a mushroom.
Yeah, something
hits his head on something, and then he grows. I don't remember how Mario works, but anyway, he's like a little Mario, and then he's like Super Mario, right? We're selling our customers on being that better version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to us to actually deliver on that, though.
Yeah.
And most of the time, we don't have a way of really figuring out how to deliver on that. But even more so, it's almost like when we do deliver on that, we don't expect that to have actually happened. And so we're not prepared to sort of roll with our customers as they change and evolve. And so my concept of customer success driven growth is to know that if we actually deliver on that value prop that we sold them on, then our customers will be a better version of themselves later on. And that means that their desired outcome will probably change. It'll evolve. We can either ignore that and then be surprised, you know, a year later, our customer who seemed successful, they churn out. Like, well, why'd that happen? Well, it's because nothing changed. I mean, they changed, but we didn't. And so they kind of outgrew us, or we weren't prepared for this newly, differentiated customer from what they were when they started. So we have to understand that customers change and evolve, and as they change and evolve, our relationship with them should change and evolve as well. But that's kind of one of those things where we don't take into consideration what those conversations are up front with our customers, and then the sales closes the deal, and then it's sort of thrown over the fence to customer success, who's then supposed to run with it. We have no idea what's really going on. So back to the wrestling metaphor, really what it's like is I have, the wrestling show has been going on. I have no idea. I've been paying attention, and now it's time for me to go out there and wrestle. And I have this whole plan in place, and I go out there and I put on this match, and the crowd doesn't respond. Why? It's because I wasn't paying attention to what they actually wanted. This is a true story. I go to Mexico relatively frequently. And I was there watching a match with some really high flying guys, and it should have been a really awesome match. The crowd was dead. This was in Tijuana. Well, in Tijuana, what they don't want the flippy guys doing stuff. Actually, they want guys just beating each other up. They'd rather see you go into the crowd, throw beer on each other, and then go back in the ring and get the pin, than do all the flippy stuff. But the guys that were there were doing the flippy stuff, which is what you need to do in Mexico City.
Yeah.
But in Tijuana, they like just fighting. You have to know your audience. And if you knew your audience in this case, you would know that it would have been a night off. You didn't actually need to go out and risk your life doing this flippy stuff. You just go out there and fight with somebody, and you'd know that you'd probably make a lot of money by doing that, because people throw money into the ring.
I do.
So that's kind of a Mexican tradition. If they like your match, they throw. It's not so good because a lot of the money that they throw, because it's kind of far, are coins. So you gotta be careful. But that's the thing is, we have to know our audience, right? So we have to know what we're trying to deliver. And when sales doesn't turn anything over, we don't have any real communication with them. All of a sudden the customer comes to us and we're like, okay, I'm supposed to make them successful. So now at the very least, I have to ask them the same questions that they already answered during the sales cycle. So I'm starting to erode trust a little bit, just right there at the beginning. Or I just try to, as you said earlier, kind of, which, you weren't saying this was a good thing, but this is what happens, is we just try to give every customer the same experience. When, if we really understood what was going on, we could take into consideration this customer is, they've been doing this for a while, or they're switching from another vendor, or whatever is going on in their world, meet them there and take them where they need to go. So we can make that experience, appropriate for them, and deliver that success. So it's, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's, a lot of moving parts here, a lot of ins and outs, but I have no idea what the original question was. Something about professionals.
Yes. But you know what? It was good. What I like about that is something I talk about quite a lot as well. So you mentioned that you're not a big fan of NPS. I'm not a big fan of customer feedback, customer surveys at all. Okay. I'll explain a little bit more about that. I'm not saying don't talk to your customers. People confuse that. Definitely talk to your customers. But doing surveys after an experience, I think, is kind of the wrong focus. And I'll explain why. Those wrestlers, right? The crowd was dead. They knew in the experience that they weren't going to deliver that successful outcome. So what they needed to do was improve the experience in the experience in order to deliver that outcome, not just carry on with whatever their strategy was that was predetermined, and then send a survey saying on a scale of 1 to 10.
Right.
They already know, they know the answer to this. Right. So I really do believe, just as it seems that you do as well, if you truly understood your customers and truly understood their successful outcomes, you wouldn't need to do surveys, because you would be measuring the things internally in the experience to know whether you've delivered that or not. And if you're not delivering it, you'll notice the things that are telling you that, and you'll change your course in the experience.